It's starting to feel it has to be now, Lee, or never. But if it was announced for Wembley Stadium, Lee, in my view, it would still sell out in November. Fans do not give two hoots. They don't give a nanny about boxing politics.
This is Final Round from William Hill with me, Lee Phelps, and the one and only Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, please tell them what happens in the final round.
Lee, in the final round, those last 3 minutes, we leave it all in the ring.
I can't believe people don't know that by now. But look, if you're watching us for the first time, you're more than welcome. If you're an absolute boxing nut, then welcome along. If you're just getting into boxing, welcome along. We're here for all comers. We're going to talk about Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua today. It feels like we've talked about this pretty much every episode we've ever done. It's the fight that British fight fans and British boxing has spent years demanding, Gareth. Are we reaching the point where the promoters want this more than the public do?
It's a really good question, and I've shared an article with you in the last couple of days that's going to go out in Ring magazine in the October issue about over-marinated super fights. And it is a super fight, whether you look at it or not. I've had the privilege in my career of covering fights that with the very highest level, whether it be Errol Spence and Terence Crawford that ended up 4 years past its sell-by date and was very one-sided in the end. Admittedly, Errol Spence had a car crash by then as well, a horrific car crash. Mayweather and Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao went on for 5 years, longer than it should have in many ways. And that was a damp squib. When it happened, it was a turgid defensive victory by Floyd Mayweather against a fairly ineffective Manny Pacquiao, even though Mayweather and Pacquiao were still very highly ranked in the pound-for-pound lists at the time. And it's the biggest grossing fight in boxing history at $600 million US, and the biggest gate as well, and the biggest, I think it was the biggest gate at the time, and the biggest pay-per-view, 4.4 million. So coming back to this, and I've addressed all that. Some did delight, Marvin Hagler against Sugar Ray Leonard, Evander Holyfield against Mike Tyson, their first fight. These fights were past their sell-by date, but they still absolutely delivered. Now, in answer to your question, I think the boxing world, not just the promoters, the boxing world wants to see this fight because we want to see this era defined in some way, even though they're both past their best. They're clearly past their best. So we get a resolution. So we don't have that what-if debate the whole time. Because Anthony Joshua is capable of knocking out Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is capable of outboxing or even knocking out Anthony Joshua, in my view. The British public probably want to bear witness to the outcome of that. Could they give us a brilliant couple of fights? Potentially, because it's the championship of each other. You add on that the discussions that maybe it would take place in America, which is a bit of an anomaly for most people, but we know why, because of the dealings around it with Turki Al-Sheikh, Dana White, all of these things, and the time of year, and also the inflated purses they're both receiving separately because of this period of investment from Saudi Arabia. So you put it all together, and it's a little bit of a mess, and that mess even points to the fact as we're going through heat waves at the moment in the UK. Imagine people walking home at 4 a.m, 4 miles in 22 degrees going, well, I enjoyed that, rather than it being midwinter. So you put all those things together and you always get the negative moaning on social media, and that's what you hear everywhere, and callers on phone-ins and all of those kind of things. But if it was announced for Wembley Stadium, Lee, in my view, it would still sell out in November.
Yeah, no, of course it would. But even Turkey Al Sheikh, all the things he's done for boxing, he still can't predict 5 heat waves in a British summer, to be fair to him. You've described in that article, when that article comes out, I implore you to read it. Great round. I know Gareth's here and you think I would say that, but genuinely really interesting read about the current situation and the history of boxing and some of those super fights. It's great to kind of take your mind back there. You've described making this fight and the other similar ones in that article as trying to combine 3 things: money, ego, and timing. Which one do you think is causing the biggest problem with this fight?
Well, I think it's timing, actually. I think the egos. If I was putting them in order, money, no problem at all. Timing, ego is kind of under control, but I think given how much they've earned, there could be a slither of that feeling in either camp that, well, so what if this fight doesn't happen then, if they don't agree to it, where it is, when it is. And the timing is the big issue for me right now. We need to see this fight sooner rather than later. I've mentioned to you before that in a week's time, we're going to be close. If Moses Tauma beats Filip Hrgovic and becomes the second youngest heavyweight champion in history after Mike Tyson, it's going to be the beginning of what we'll call the Moses Tauma era for the sake of that right now, even though he's got 8 or 9 great fights out there, maybe a trilogy with Daniel Dubois as well at some point. So the timing is, can we have it in the UK in the winter? Can we still bring Cardiff into play? Can it be outdoors at 2 a.m? Does it need to be timing-wise in the primetime market for the American audience of 80 million for Netflix? And secondarily, when you go into the nuance of that, can we afford a timing, as I mentioned just now, of commuting this fight to the spring of next year to have it outdoors with better weather in the UK, because both men will fight again? And the big timing, father time, how long is he going to accept this 36 and 37-year-old going on before it is actually too late? It's starting to feel it has to be now, Lee, or never.
Yeah. Wait, but when I asked you that question, you immediately went to the ego of the boxers, which I don't think is a problem. What about the ego of the promoters, though? I mean, like, Turkey Al Sheikh has, like I said before, he's done things in boxing that no one's really achieved in recent times. He's brought Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn together, which in the British landscape is a huge thing, and world boxing as well. But also, he's now introduced Dana White into the mix. Have we got too many cooks here? I mean, if Dana White wasn't involved in this, I hazard a guess this would have been done a while back. And maybe we also say Dana White and Netflix, because Netflix is another huge thing in this mix now. There's a demand there for that audience rather than the Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren audience, which would have been a UK audience, wouldn't it?
Well, to clarify, I mean, for several weeks, Dana White's saying he's part of the promotion. And at the weekend at UFC 330, where Islam Makhachev defeated Ian Gary, which we projected correctly with William Hill, even though I said 3rd round submission, we got the right winner. The post-fight press conference, he alluded to the fact that he'd helped to get the TV deal, i.e. Netflix, and that he'd also booked the venue. And we understand what he's talking about there is Madison Square Garden. It still potentially could go to Madison Square Garden, Fury Joshua. And it would, I assume that's where the involvement of Dana White comes in, where Nick Khan, Dana White, TKO have been involved in the making of that fight, in it being in America. But we also know that the two fighters and their teams have negotiated their money for this separately with Turkey Al Sheikh. So there's an issue with Dana White and the promoters in the sense that this is a British promotion in their eyes. There's an issue if it goes to the UK now, because that won't have a Dana White involvement. There's an issue because Dana White and Eddie Hearn, even though last fortnight they haven't been at it, have they? It's kind of, there's been a moratorium in many ways.
Maybe they've both
in the rounds between. They've gone quite, it's like they've taken a holiday from it.
Maybe they have. Maybe they've gone on holiday.
Yeah, but maybe it's an agreement. They've taken a holiday, but before it kicks off again. So, but the one thing here is because the teams are negotiating separately with Turkey Al Sheikh and don't know what the other's earning, I don't think there is an argument about A side, B side, which there may be behind the scenes at the moment. And they're not doing a purse split, and they're not doing who's the principal promoter of the fights. So I don't. That it might be there behind the scenes, but it's not there in plain sight at the moment. I don't think there is great arguments going on between the promoters. The only thorn in the side will be if it comes to the UK now, which I understand they are trying to talk about bringing it to the UK. They know it's the right place for it. We all know it's the right place for it. Is that at that point, maybe Dana White gets moved sideways from the promotion.
Yeah, maybe so. Is there? I mean, you're absolutely right what you said earlier on. Wherever this fight is, whenever it is, people will watch it. If it's in the UK, people will flock to Wembley or Cardiff to watch it, whatever time of the morning. It will sell out. There's no question about that. But when you work within this industry, and I don't work closely in the boxing world, but we talk a lot, and I see kind of how deep you are, the likes of yourself and Addy and the Talk Sport team and the DAZN team. I've touched into it a little bit. My theory is that the promoters and the business around boxing care more about this and the politics than the public do. The public just want to go, it's happening on this date at this location. We'll have a grumble if it's in the US, but we're still going to get up in the middle of the night and watch it.
Fans don't care about the politics of boxing. I don't think they ever have. They like the rows, the screaming matches between Dana White and Eddie Hearn when they're insulting each other in that social media style clip. But fans do not give two hoots. They don't give a nanny about boxing politics. They want to see the fight announced, the two guys on a dais at a press conference, them in training camp, and they want to know where they can buy tickets and know that they're going to witness these two, what have been great heavyweights, in the ring against each other. That is what fight fans and sports fans care about. They do not give a damn about boxing politics.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll come on and we'll round this up in a second or two, but we've also got a cracking fight of the weekend, one that is actually happening, which I'm looking forward to, Gareth, which is Rolly Romero versus Tio Lopez. Two names that, well known and always will usually give us cracking fights as well. Rolly Romero, 17 wins, 2 stoppages. He's lost twice to Gervonta Davis and Isaac Cruz, of course. Since then, he's fought and beaten Ryan Garcia. Tio Lopez, I mean, you look at his list of opponents, Gareth, and it's like a who's who, isn't it? I mean, obviously he lost to Shakur Stevenson last time out, but I mean the notable win, of course, on his record, to us, beat Josh Taylor, but of course also, which was remarkable at the time, beat Vasyl Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Then lost to George Kambosos Jr. So he's got the ability to have sensational nights and also just let himself down, or you're not able to quite get to that level again. The betting has Rolly Romero just over 2-1, 21-10. The draw 16-1, and Tio Lopez is a strong favourite at 4-11. Should be a cracker in Vegas, this one.
Absolutely. Well, what you've got to say about Rolly and Tio, this is a great fight with two absolute screw-loose fighters in the build-up. And I say that in the way that we screw loose in terms of us enjoying them. And you're right. Tio's had an extraordinary career where he's brilliant or he has the off nights. Brilliant against Josh Taylor as well, by the way, on a night in New York that I witnessed at close quarters. But brilliant against Vasyl Lomachenko when his dancing feet were just extraordinary. I think Shakur Stevenson showed him something. When you look at his age now, and he's late 20s now, 29. The body's getting thicker. boiling down to 10 stone when you get to your 30s after the long career he's had at elite level. I think it will relax his body, those extra 7 pounds. And he's in against a guy in terms of Rolly Romero, who he's arguably a better boxer than Rolly Romero, who again has had his moments. Great win against Ryan Garcia. You mentioned those. Lost to Isaac Cruz and the great Gervonta Davis, who's in the wilderness at the moment. It's a really terrific fight. And if they're both at their very best, I think Tio shades this on points, but it's really a pick'em. It's a brilliant fight. It's in the fight capital of the world, as we maybe still call it in some ways. I really like this fight. Tio Lopez on points for me.
Yeah, 8-11. Still a touch of odds on 8-11, but I always say on this on final round, whenever I speak to you about fights, and it's the same with any sport. If I give the odds and the expert says it's a pick'em still, then you've got to back the outsider, because Rolly Romero's over 2-1 in a fight that you and others will think it's a lot closer than that. So yeah, Rolly Romero over 2-1 to win the fight, and Tio Lopez to win by decision is priced up at 8-11. Shall we finish off with Fury Joshua? How about some quick fire answers to a few questions to see if we can nail down this this situation we're in with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua? Question 1, Gareth. I'm going to give you 5 questions here. Does it happen? Yes or no?
In my view, Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua will happen 100%.
Does it happen in Britain?
I think the fight happens in Britain, and I sincerely hope it happens in November rather than March. I do. I think the fight will move to Britain, and I think we'll find out in the next week or two about the fight being there.
If it doesn't happen this year, should we finally stop talking about it? Is it done?
No, we should never stop talking about it. And if they don't fight, we will never stop talking about it. In fact, it will be the eternal debate of what if, woulda, shoulda, coulda, all those things. And I sincerely hope we never get there. If it doesn't happen this year and it's commuted to the spring to enjoy the weather outdoors in the UK, I think we just put it on the back burner because they'll both have another fight. And that is my worry.
I love this idea that it's so much nicer in March than it is in November. Who actually needs the fight more, Fury or Joshua?
Wow, who needs the fight more, Joshua or Fury, is an amazing question. I'll tell you how I'll put it. If Joshua wins, it's amazing for his career. If Tyson Fury wins, most people inside boxing expect Fury to outbox Joshua. If Joshua does win, I think we would see a second fight. If Fury wins, I don't think we will see a second fight.
I've clicked my fingers, performed some unbelievable magic that not even Turki Al Sheikh can perform, and it's Fury AJ tonight. Who wins?
Bell rings tonight. They step into the center of the ring. The referee tells them to obey his commands at all times. There's some drama early on with Anthony Joshua throwing big, heavy hands and Fury being defensive and tying up. And he might even go down early on, but he's only stung. Then he slowly outboxes Tyson Fury. He slowly outboxes Anthony Joshua, holds, clips, hits him, and either stops him late or wins on points.
All the betting for the fight is available on our app, in our shops, and on the website williamhill.com as well. Make sure you check out all of Gareth's socials. We'll have price boosts on that Tio Lopez Rolly Romero fight as well. And we'd love to get your comments on AJ versus Fury. Sick of it? Enjoying the hype? Where do you want it to be staged? Are you bothered? We want to hear from it, because 20 years from now, it will be ridiculous if two of the biggest British heavyweights of their generation, of any generation, retired without ever fighting each other. But we've left it all in the ring. The final bell is tolled. Please like, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend. And we'll see you next time.